Summer is in full swing, and I'm back here in the barn in Rhode Island. And it has been a lovely summer. It's delightful. I got here after a stint at Guy Wolf's. I was there for a little over a week. And as is the case with every time I'm there, I was practicing making flower pots. This has been a pursuit that has gone on for 17 years. I went to his place for the first time in 2009. And it is not daunting. It's actually motivating to me that it has taken this long to really only start feeling like I'm getting it. It's only in the last few years, in the last 3-4 years, that I've felt like, oh wow, I'm really understanding now what he has been telling me from the very beginning. There's an old saying in the pottery world from England that Guy recounts on a regular basis. They used to say that the first 1,000 are the hardest, the first 1,000 of every shape that's being made. And this was something that was said by production potters that were making the same shape over and over and over again. That's how you learn. And in those early years that I would visit Guy, when I would lament about not being able to do it, or that I was making these pots and they were kind of ugly, this is what he would say, just kind of matter-of-factly, the first 1,000 are the hardest. It's true. I don't know how many pots I've made over the years, but even still, when I go back there and I start making the pots, the first few are, I think, oh, it's kind of going okay. And then by pot number 10, pot number 20 of the same shape, I see like, oh, this looks so much nicer than the first couple that I made. And it's that continual repetition that helps figure out how to throw something. Just making a different thing every time you put a ball of clay on the wheel doesn't train that muscle memory of creating the same shape in an ideal form. So I just have 2 pots in front of me that I've made here in the barn in Rhode Island recently, like a couple days ago. And you can see, if I hold them side by side, that they are slightly different shapes. These flower pots were made from 2 pounds of clay. They are what Guy calls a full pot, which is the most basic standard English flower pot. And it's in a full pot that I believe there's no hiding place, there's no ornamentation to it at all. So it's really the silhouette of the pot that dictates its success in terms of shape and beauty, or its elegance. And this one is the one that I consider like almost perfection in terms of its shape and silhouette. I like this one. Both of these, when I'm holding them, they were thrown nicely, like I distributed the clay evenly. If I were to cut the pot with a wire along the middle and analyze the cross section of the rim, the wall, and the floor, I can be pretty sure that the wall and the floor of the pot would be a nice even thickness. The common difficulty is getting the clay that's down here up into the wall. If I were in my early years, well, even still, when I'm throwing certain shapes, if I were to cut a cross section of the pot, it's an even thickness from the rim down, and then near the base it's often thicker. It's very tricky to have the confidence to push and pull up the clay that's down here evenly into the wall of the pot. But I was really happy with both of these because they were thrown well. I can feel just the distribution of weight, that the weight is in the rim where it should be, because the rim is the thing that's going to be touching or banging up against other things. So Guy's always saying that rim needs to be thick enough to withstand wear and tear and use. So my next online sale will take place tomorrow, Sunday, July 26th at noon Eastern Standard Time. There's quite a bit of pottery on there. I've been working away with Guy and making all kinds of different things, some white flower pots, some marbleized flower pots, which I made over the winter on my last visit to Guy's, and various sizes of all that stuff. So you can go on there, check that out tomorrow at noon. There are also some bars of soap, like a small quantity of soap from the last batch that I made, more autographed books, candles, beeswax candles that I made here in the barn in Rhode Island in the spring. What else is there? Some note cards, things that were out of stock. And to let everyone know about watercolors, when I started painting my watercolors, they were varying degrees of success. All of the watercolors that I paint, I consider studies. Like they're like these pots, it's practicing the technique. I don't really consider any of my watercolor pieces finished paintings. I set up a still life where I'm outside and I get out my paper and my paints and my brushes, and then I just attempt painting what I'm looking at. And sometimes those attempts are successful, I consider successful, and sometimes they're complete failures. So I would like to thank everybody that participated in previous sales and purchased my watercolors. It is the proceeds from these sales that contributes to keeping my Renaissance man, bohemian artist life going. It helps pay for harp lessons. It helps pay for more art classes. So I want to thank every single person that's purchased a watercolor. In the past, watercolors will now no longer be available on my website because they're getting better. This is something that I didn't really foresee or plan, but there came a certain point where the watercolor studies were becoming more and more successes rather than failures. And that creates a higher price point for them. So now all my watercolor studies are being sold through Nikki, one of my favorite shops. They have locations both in LA and New York. Nikki frames all of my watercolor paintings, and they're selling them in their shops or online. So if you're interested in purchasing a watercolor study of mine, I will put a link to them in the description of this video. And as is the case with pricing paintings the traditional way, the prices go up. So I would like to tell everyone that's purchased a watercolors previously, good for you, because you invested on a base level, and ain't paintings being sold for that price anymore. They're steeper now. So I understand if you have sticker shock when you check out the prices of these paintings, but I will say that my goal is to move to Florence in September 2027 to go to art school for 3 years, and I am saving up for that venture, and selling the artwork and selling the pottery is all contributing to that goal. So thank you everyone for participating in these sales or simply for watching, and it has been such a joy and a thrill to be able to practice these art forms and then to send the wares off to all of you around the country.